Hi, welcome. This is a video on simplifying radicals. This is at the level 3 level or proficient level. And they've asked us to simplify the radical, the square root of negative 28y to the fifth power. There's a few things that we need to know here. Um, One of them is this, just the idea of what is a square root. So let's look at the square root of 9. It asks the question, what number multiplied by itself 2 times is 9? And for that reason, the answer here is 3, because 3 times 3 multiplied by itself 2 times is 9. Because this is true, because this is true, this is true. They're opposites. And so the square root of 9 is 3. Or the square root of 25. What number multiplied by itself is 25? And that would be 5. Um, but what if I had the square root of negative 9? What number multiplied by itself is a negative 9? Well, even if you try negative 3, sometimes people go, well, negative 3. But if I take negative 3 times negative 3, a negative times a negative is a positive 9. So that's not it. Well, positive then, I guess. Positive 3 times positive 3. Well, that's also 9. That's not it. In the real numbers, there's not a number that if you multiply it by itself, you would get a negative number. And so we have to define a negative number when we go to the simplest number that we could, negative 1, and we define the negative 1 as the imaginary number I. And so I is equal to the square root of negative 1. This is kind of for a further unit, but just so you know, if I had I squared, that would be negative 1. So those are some things to keep in mind. Over here, I can say I have the square root of negative 28 y to the fifth power. And I want to think, what are the prime factors of 28 first? Let's do that. So I got 28. Remember that the smallest prime number is 2. So I'm going to say 2. 2 goes into 28 14 times. And then 2 will go into 14 because it's still even. 2 goes into 14 7 times. And 7's prime. And so there we have it. The prime factors of 28 are 2 times 2 times 7. This is equal to 28. So now I can break this thing down. I can say this is equal to the square root of 2 times 2 times 7. That part is my 28. And then I can say times the square root of y to the fifth. And I'm going to break that down. Y times y times y times y times y 5 times. Oh, well, that takes care of this. Let's see. Goes y times itself 5 times. That takes care of that. But the negative, we need to take care of that negative. So I'm gonna write something in there for the negative, and I'm gonna write the square root of negative 1. And the square root of negative 1, that then is takes care of the negative part here. So negative 1, if I take negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 7, that gives me negative 28, and then y to the fifth. So everything here, all of this is equal to this. And I just broke it down. So now I can simplify this. So what have I got? Well, remember the index of each of these is 2. When there is no index, we know the index is 2 because we say what times itself 2 times are these numbers. I've got 2 2's, so that's going to come out as a 2. I've got one pair of y's and another pair of y's, so that each of those is going to come out as a y. Y times y is y squared. And then I've got the square. So let's see. Check, 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 check. And then the square root of negative 1. The square root of negative 1, as we just discussed, is I. So I'm going to write that I in there. And then what have I got left? Well, I still have 7 that doesn't have a pair. So it stays under the radical, square root of 7. I still have one y, one of the y's. And so I put that, and it still stays under the radical. And now I've got everything in there. Let's just kind of keep track here. What have I got? This y squared takes care of 4 of these, and this one y that's still under the radical takes care of the other one. This 2 times 2 times 7 takes care, it's right here with that 2, takes care of these 2 2's, and this 7 that's still under the radical takes care of this 7 here. So, and then finally I'll just have, I've got the I, and the square root of negative 1 is I. And so everything's taken care of. What I have as a result, this is equal to this. They wrote 2iy squared times the square root of y. It doesn't technically really matter. Personally, I like to put the I at the end before the square root. But one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put 2y squared square 7y and then put I underneath there. No. Don't do that. The I has to go outside the radical. When it's inside the radical, it's negative 1. When it comes outside the radical, it comes out as an I. You also don't want to take this 2 and write it over here, because technically speaking, the order of the factors doesn't matter. This 2, somebody might think that 2 is under the radical. So don't write it off here to the right. Always write the ones you've taken out of the radical to the left. And that then is the answer. And it's the same answer as what we have here.